What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel. So thank you all so much for the comments on the last video. Today we're going to go over the Lion King songs from the new live action remake. In one of my videos I reacted to the soundtrack of the Lion King, but I left out some of the songs because I didn't want to ruin the magic of watching in theaters. Now that I've seen it in theaters, the review is coming, but I want to consider the totality of the song, not just what was done musically, but also what was done cinematically, what they showed up on screen. My ranking of the Lion King songs from the new live action movie, The Lion King. Enough talking, let's jump straight into it. Okay, so I spent the last couple of minutes just listening to the soundtrack again and just coming up with my thoughts, but I also now want to do a comparison to what I would have ranked the songs from the original animation version of The Lion King. And what I found was it was harder for me to rank the songs from the animation than it is for the songs in the live action, just because the animation, they're all so iconic and they all were done so well. And when I thought about the ones from the live action, it was easier for me to think about just different levels of where I would rank them, like, oh, this one's clearly not as good as this one. I'm gonna go over my ranking right now, but I'm also looking forward to seeing your rankings down below in the comments. Anyway, let's start off with my number one song from the Lion King live action. I would say it is Circle of Life. And I know what you're thinking, you're like, oh, of course it is, but here's why it's my favorite. Because that intro note, there was actually a meme that said if that first nod doesn't hit well in the Lion King live action, it's all over. And it hit so well that, here, get this is so interesting. I was sitting there in theaters and when it hit, I was like, oh, this is perfect. And I listened to the first maybe 5-10 seconds and I was like, is this the same soundtrack? And I couldn't believe that it sounded so similar, and I was like, because the rest of the song ends up sounding a little bit different when the female voice comes in. We'll talk about it visually, what they did later, but I just went right now, as I was just listening to it again on Apple Music, I listened to it again and I Shazammed the intro song. If you Shazam the intro to the Lion King live action Circle of Life, it's the exact version from the animated. They just put the exact clip, so they didn't even recreate that magical moment. They just put the exact one over. I kid you not, it came up again. Look, I'll do it right now for you. Here we go. Circle of Life from the Lion King 2019. Nance Ingonyama. No, wrong one. Shazam on. And look what comes up. This is the soundtrack from the animated version. So they just used the exact one. Hold up, let's refocus. Title of my autobiography. That's just wild. So it hit right because they used the exact version. It was a shot-for-shot remake of the animated version, which is what I think they needed to do to get people into the atmosphere. It hit the right beats for me. Second song ranked for me is I Just Can't Wait to Be King. I thought it was really fun to watch visually, as well as I thought the kid actors did a really good job at selling them having a good time. They were some of the only voice actors in the entire movie, just overall speaking, who had a good time. It seemed like they were voice acting, whereas many of the other characters, the actors, sounded like they were just reading a script or just lending their voice to the characters. They weren't acting while doing it. And in I Just Can't Wait to Be King, you can tell they're having a great time. The one thing I didn't really like about this, and this is something I said in the soundtrack review that I did, John Oliver's voice kind of like fell flat. Not musically flat, but just he sounded like he wasn't fully there. But at least Rowan Atkinson's was very like, ah, wah! Like, what are you doing? Ah! Like kind of like parody. But I will say that watching it visually, it was still really cool to see all the animals getting together and interacting and seeing them build up the scene. It wasn't as colorful visually as it was in the animated version, clearly, because they're not going to change the color of the skyline, but I was thinking maybe they can get like fireflies and like, you know, shine them through something to change the color somehow, to add some color to that scene, or like get some fruits, grapes, or like mash the grapes up and like paint certain things. I don't know, they could have done something, but that's just an overall theme of the entire movie. It felt very desaturated. My third song is none other than Beyonce's Spirit. It was wonderful. The only thing is it's not fully in the movie. They just use snippets of it, so you think, oh yeah, Beyonce sang a song. Still though, it still ranks as my third. Fourth is The Lion Sleeps Tonight, and this is a surprise to me because I didn't really consider this to be an actual track, an actual song when I listened to the animated version, because I just thought Timon was singing like a random thing as he like was waking up in the morning. I didn't think it was an actual song. Billy Eichner's voice is beautiful. His voice is beautiful and blew me away not only in The Lion Sleeps Tonight, but also in Hakuna Matata. But the reason Hakuna Matata is not my fifth is for something we'll talk about later. But my fifth song is Never Too Late by Elton John. It was a wonderful song to end the credits with. The song was exactly what we're looking for, but in the entire Lion King movie. Give us our nostalgia, but add to it. Give us the same thing, but more. 6 is He Lives in You. It's not higher because I didn't expect it to be in this movie, and I thought that they were just putting it in for nostalgia's sake. I thought that they might have put an end credit scene of showing, you know, something that's hinting at a Lion King 2, but it wasn't. It was just there. It was also in Swahili, which I appreciated, which is why it's higher up on my list, even though I didn't expect it to be in this movie. 7, Hakuna Matata. This is something I thought would be higher, but, and I didn't listen to it in the soundtrack review, but when I watched it in the movies, Seth Rogen is flat in the intro of this song, and it really just takes you out of the movie theater. And he said, and I was watching one of the interviews with Jimmy Kimmel, he's like, I told them to auto-tune me. I was like, ah, he's so modest. And then I was like, wow, they should have auto-tuned him. It's like, he's like, ain't no passing craze. And I'm like, ugh. And it stands out so much more. I thought maybe it was like an interesting character choice because Pumbaa clearly wasn't going to be able to sing because he's like, you know, a more like relaxed and like carefree animal, so who cares if he hits the right notes. But when compared with Billy Eichner's flawless vocals, it's like, okay, this is not a character choice, or seemingly it can't be. 8, surprisingly and sadly so, is Can You Feel the Love Tonight? When I listened to it without having watched the movie, it sounded fine, but when I watched it visually, it made me fully register how sometimes bland Donald Glover and Beyonce's voices sound. And I don't know if Beyonce was just holding back to match Donald Glover, but he was saying in an interview he didn't want to be in the same booth as her because, you know, all this stuff. And I thought everyone was just being modest about their voice acting, but this song in particular, I was expecting so much more magic. But maybe because they were in the same booth when they were singing, it just didn't deliver for me, and it sounded like they were both holding back or they were doing this as a duty, and it didn't sound like as great. Again, because we're comparing it to the animated version, which we already have, and those performances are breathtaking, and everyone sings those songs and knows those songs, so if Disney's gonna go out of their way to make a new version of it, you have to give us more. And this felt like they didn't give us as much, which is shocking because everyone, I think, expected Donald Glover and Beyonce to do more. And again, they did a phenomenal job, but just compared with the other songs in the soundtrack, it's like you expect them to be the ones that blow away the whole soundtrack, but it kind of didn't. And last, but I guess, yeah, certainly least, is Be Prepared 2019. Chiwetel did a great job at delivering the aggressive side of Scar, but Scar definitely has a manipulative, seductive side where it's like you can play the aggression, but also manipulate. And the song is there to show you that Scar is an intelligent person. He's like lyrically savvy and he can show you that he's been planning this usurping of the throne, but the song was just like pounding and pounding and pounding, which can work, but visually was so boring, and he just kept on climbing this mountain like, oh, he's gonna climb to the top, it's gonna be in the center, and there's gonna be a moon in the back, and wow, wow, wow. But then he climbs to the top, and you can see the moon, but the rest of the scene is so dark, and you can't see anything. You're just like, where's the green flame? And they don't need to have the exact colors of the original, but don't take out all the colors and it's so dark and everyone's gonna be like, oh, but it's a realistic retelling of the story. Sure, but when you're going to realistically show animals in the wild, you're not going to make the wild pitch black like it actually is. You're going to try to light it a little bit. And if you're going to try to light it a little bit, why not light it so that you can actually see what's going on? So he was just climbing to the top while his voice is getting more angry. I'm like, oh, he's going to get to the top. It's going to be so beautiful. And I was like, hello? ¿Dónde estás? So yeah, those are my rankings of the Lion King live action 2019 remake songs, and now I'm going to talk about how I would have ranked them in the animated version. And again, I had so much trouble doing this. So there are 9 songs in the live action remake, but only 6 songs in the animated version because Spirit is not in it, as well as Never Too Late from Elton John, and He Lives in You is in Lion King 2. So I'm not going to talk about those in the animated version. My first song from the animated version would be Circle of Life. and it's interesting that it's also my favorite in the live action version, but the intros are usually what stunned me, and they kept the intro for both, so that's probably why it's the same in both. My second favorite is I Just Can't Wait to Be King in the animated version. It's also in my live action version. My third favorite song from the animated version is, surprise, surprise, Be Prepared. Now I was thinking Be Prepared might actually be higher on my list, but that might just be because now I'm an adult and I can appreciate the vocabulary that Scar has, which is why it was such a disservice to me to have that song removed in its entirety from the live action version. But also, it's a great villain song, and when villains are usually painted really poorly in Disney movies and just in general public, so for him to actually share his qualities with us was something that I thought was really cool. That's why it's number 3 for me. Number 4 is Can You Feel the Love Tonight? Their voices blend beautifully. The Tale as Old as Time, love song from The Lion King. Number 5 for me is Hakuna Matata, and again, that's why it's so hard for me to have ranked the animated songs, because I love Hakuna Matata, and they're all so wonderful. It's just, if you have to rank them, the other songs are that much more iconic. Hakuna Matata is also iconic. It's just really hard to have them all be number 1, but it falls to number 5, even though it's still so good. And lastly, number 6 is The Lion Sleeps Tonight. As I was saying before, I didn't know that it was an actual song, but they recreated it in the live action version, put it in the soundtrack. I guess it's also in the soundtrack of the original from 1994, but I just thought it was something that Timon was singing while walking in the jungle. I didn't know it was an actual song. But again, like, it's hard for me to have ranked all these because they're all so great. It breaks my heart to put Hakuna Matata at number 5 because I love it so much and everyone knows it. It's like, I guess maybe when I was a kid, Be Prepared might have been my number 5 because I didn't understand what was going on, and Hakuna Matata might have been my 3rd or my 2nd. But now that I'm an adult, I really appreciate Be Prepared, and I appreciate the other ones so much more. That Hakuna Matata's like funniness is something that maybe I've taken for granted. That's why it falls to number 5. Like, it's always been around for me, but I still love it so much. I just hate to put it at number 5, but something has to be there. So there you have it. Those are my rankings for The Lion King live action 2019 and The Lion King animated version. I'm really excited to see what you all rank down below as your favorite and least favorite in the special animated version, because I wonder if you're gonna have as much trouble as I did, because I definitely did. I'm really interested to see how my rankings compare with yours and vice versa. Anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in with me. If you enjoyed it, tell me why. If you did not, tell me why not. And as always, be safe, be strong, be swag. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can watch some more videos right now. Take care, bye! Also, thank you all so much! We passed 5,000 subscribers! I'm so happy. It's been 2 years, past 5,000 subscribers. One of my videos broke 100,000 views. I had my first sponsorship, actually 2 sponsorships, and like a lot has happened. I got my first check from YouTube, which I want to make a video about it. I have so many videos that I have in store for you all, but I'm working on them. I'm trying to find an editor and like an animator to help me with some ideas that I have. But anyway, thank you all so much. It really means a lot to me that we passed 5,000, and I have a lot of things in store for you, a lot of secret things. So hopefully I can get to them very soon. And as always, be safe, be strong, be swag. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video. You can watch some more videos right now. Make sure to like and subscribe. Take care. Bye!